Hey, folks, welcome to another cool weekend edition of What's Going On The Experience here on Fox Sports 1280 and iHeartMedia. And I got my mans in them. I got the crew in the building. I got Ryan V, but he ain't in Hampton today. He in Newburgh at Legoland. What up, Ryan guy?
Here on vacation. You got the fam here, a little bit off camera. There they are, right over here, the
Okay,
boys.
okay,
But yeah, we're on a
okay.
Lego adventure. And to cap things off, a very exciting Sunday, which I'm about to surprise them, so I can't talk much about it. But we all know who's coming to town. We all know who's here in town right now. You already said his name off the air. He's chasing Greg, as you said, chasing his record.
Well,
So
well,
exciting
well,
weekend ahead here.
Well, and we got my man, Mr. 355, Greg Vaughn, just came back from Hershey. Ain't even let me know he's gonna get some daggone chocolate in Pennsylvania. What up, Greg? What up,
Yeah.
GB23?
What's up, fellas? How are you guys, man?
I'm doing good, man. How was your Hershey adventure?
Well, Hershey was it was fun. Like I said, it was a great cause. It was for cancer. The Mid Penn Bank.
Okay.
They do a tremendous Mid Penn Bank. Shout out to them. For the great accommodations and they have a great thing they're doing, trying to bring awareness and trying to find a cure for this breast cancer, right? Breast cancer awareness, and
Yes.
it's always good to see the fellas and catch up, and then my pastime, play golf. So play golf, fellowship, and raise money at the same time. Great. That's a great weekend for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we got my
Let's go.
man in our space today.
And
We're
you
gonna
and you
talk to
mentioned
him.
Greg, you were with some other greats out there. Good times.
What's that? What's that, Ryan?
Who you
Yeah,
with,
I
Greg?
Shoot, I mean, who wasn't I with? I mean, everyone was there. It's from Mike. Up in the Philadelphia area. You're between Steeler and Eagles territory, right? Hershey's right in the
Okay.
middle. So you had a lot.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of Eagles. From Brian Westbrook to Mike Quick. Shoot, I mean Graham. I mean, then you had, of course, all the Steeler greats. So you had Greg Lloyd, Bettis, all those guys up there. So it's, like I said, it's a great event, and it's something I look forward to going to every single year. My guy Jesse Orozco, who's a Met. I can say that because he made the final out. Yeah, that's my guy. I got to play with Jesse in Milwaukee, but even
Yep.
a better person than, and he's a great golfer also. So we had a good time, and you had Jaws out there. I mean, like I said, man, it is a Steeler and Eagle fest up there. It's right. It's a border city, and you get all the chocolate you want. You know what I mean? We're right there in
That's what I'm trying to
chocolate
tell you,
capital of the
Hershey.
world.
There you
Yes,
go,
yes, sir.
man. That's the spot. And also, I like to introduce in this space today my man Miles McNeil from Aquinas High School, all boys high school. He's the assistant basketball coach. Am I right, Miles? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Actually, this the school is co-ed, but
We
yep,
can't.
I'm the boys' assistant varsity coach over there, as well as the program player
Oh,
development coach.
okay. So you do a little bit of both, and we're gonna get to you today because you got a skills joint coming up, and you're gonna give us an insight into your look at the summer league and how they look. But before we get to the NBA, before we get to Caitlin Clark dropping 45,
Yes, sir.
okay, we're gonna talk about Greg, the New York mess. Is it a fire sale, Greg? Is it a fire sale? Because Ryan, they said that there are only 5 players they can't touch, and one of them obviously is Soto and the 4 young guys. They said, I guess you could have Bo Bichette. You can definitely have Lindo and stop playing my girl because he's making errors like it ain't no tomorrow, Greg. Is it a fire sale? And they said he's going to the Yankees. That's what I'm hearing,
Oh, how
Greg.
quick
Lindor to the Yankees. He'll get a new damn theme song. Maybe he won't bat 216 with 2 RBIs. I don't know. I don't know,
issues there.
Greg.
But to kind of summarize, that Greg, yes, fire sale. New York Mets are falling apart. The New York mess. I can't get enough of it, Greg. What are your thoughts? Is there still the value that Does Bo Bichette still have that value? What's going on here with the Mets?
Well, I think Bo still has his value. I think Lindor has his value, but you're taking guys. Sometimes it's easier to be Robin than it is to be Batman, right? Sometimes it's hard to lead a team, be the guy, right? So I think when it comes to being the guy, you have to be able to, answer the tough questions. Have to be able to be, to go in front of the media when things aren't going well. You have to be able to be that guy when you're hitting 216 or you're making 2 and 3 errors a game. You still have to be that guy. And it takes a special mindset. Not saying these guys aren't great players. I just think the Mets, for me, even over the past, 2 or 3 years, we won't even talk about this year. What is the direction? What is the 5-year plan? What are we trying to do? Where do we want to be at the end of 5 years? Do we want to add a couple, young free agents, say Lindor and Soto? Okay, then we want to bring in a couple starting pitchers. Okay, that's fine. And then we want to, groom our farm system, develop our players. So in 5 years, this is where we're at. We might not be able to compete like right now, but at least we have a 5-year plan. I don't think they have a plan. I think it's just, the reactionary. They just react to whatever everyone else in baseball is doing or not doing, or whatever the Yankees are doing, or whatever the media pressure of playing in New York says. Oh, we have to do something. We have to make a move. We can't let the Yankees do this, so we do this. And it might not be fitting the 5-year plan to me or the 2-year plan. Just say it's 2 years. But what does that look like? I think we have to have a defined outlook on what we're trying to do. And I think the Mets organization has been one that hasn't had that plan because, like I said, you let the best closer in baseball before he got hurt walk away. I mean, that solves part of your problem right there, right? That's a big piece of your puzzle. We get to the 8th, 9th inning, we have a guy that can lock that up. Before, we sign him, that part of the puzzle's done. That's part of our plan. But we let him go. Now who's going to replace him? You say everything goes to whatever their plan is. Now we get to the 8th and 9th inning, and we start losing all these games because we let the best closer in baseball leave. So I just don't understand their plan. Maybe you blow it all up and start over.
Yeah, you just look
find out what these guys worth. Find out how much worth these guys do have, and what can I reboot? Can I replenish my depleted farm system and minor league system and go for the future? There's a couple organizations that have to, that are probably pondering that outcome as we speak. We get closer to July 31st.
And, the Mets specifically, you look at some of these teams in the past that make this blockbuster, super expensive free agent signing, whether it's A-Rod, now we see Juan Soto, and it's hard, especially now with the salary cap looming. I mean, how are they supposed to build the rest of the team out when you give so much money to one guy? And not like saying Juan Soto is not performing, but what confuses me is if they have this fire sale, like it's a complete rebuild from scratch, yet you have a contract like Juan Soto there. You look at the Angels with Mike Trout and Shohei. They just couldn't put enough people around them, I guess. Is it a similar thing? Do you think that maybe Juan Soto is a guy to move, even though he wasn't one of those 5 guys? Or do you think it's just too much talent to risk losing him like that?
No, I don't think it's. I just don't think they had a plan. I just don't think they had a concrete plan. I thought they can just go out there and just make a splash, right? We have to do something, so this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do, and I just think that it's they haven't executed their plan. Maybe the young guys that they counted on, the pieces that they acquired didn't work out. I think they just have to, reevaluate their plan, admit that they made some mistakes. Maybe, the players that they were counting on didn't do what they were supposed to do, but also the guys making the decisions. Maybe we made some bad decisions. You know what I mean? We maybe I overvalued or overpaid or concluded that these guys were going to be something that they're not, right? Or maybe everyone's just having a bad year. So you just I just think you just have to come up with a concrete plan of where you want to be, and you're going to have to develop from within too, right? You can't just throw out and just get rid of all your young talent when you're signing these making these trades for these superstars. I think it all starts with pitching, right? You have to get your pitching down. You have to be solid up the middle. and then you go from there. You have to be able to close games, and then now we build our team around that. I just don't think you can ask guys that never played every day to go out there and hit 30 and 40 home runs, when they're not used to doing it. And, the expectation or over-evaluated some of the talent. I don't know, but I just think they have to go back to maybe blow the whole thing up. And then at least you know what you're dealing with, right? Then we got a plan. But also, Soto brings value. Bichette brings value. If people are willing to trade for them, you can get 3 or 4 pieces that might not help you this year, but in the near future.
I think it's a no-brainer. And I love Juan Soto, but if you're going for a full rebuild, you got to trade everybody. If you're the New York Mets right now, or a New York Mets fan, get used to rooting for Juan Soto, Carson Bench, AJ Ewing, Christian Scott, and Nolan McLean, because everybody else might just be set aflame like the forests of Canada, and we might be inhaling the smoke. This is Fox Sports 1280 Rochester. Greg Vaughn, Ryan Verneuille, and Coach Miles in studio. And hopefully Nate will return. Little latency issues there, but we'll be back after these brief messages. Don't go nowhere. So Nate, I see it just like blocking out in the background. It's going to be the same issues wherever you're at. Like I see that you're freezing up at like over and over. Not really. Could you call us back when you're like from the office? So it's your call, but it's gonna be pretty crazy internet from where you're at. We can't really. Yeah, so I mean it's your call, but it's gonna keep cutting you out.
Yeah, I think you.
Okay, we'll knock it out right now. All right, safe driving out there. We'll knock this out.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate you.
Later. All right, so Coach Miles, we're gonna knock out this segment. Talk about your skills camp. Talk about some basketball, so that we can.
Yes, sir.
I know that we had you set for exactly at this time, so that you can get about your day as well. Because I'm out here, we got the boys here.
Yeah, no.
These are the best behaved boys I've ever seen in my life. Can't believe it. Silent, silent as can be. Good job, fellas.
They are quiet
All right.
over there.
Yeah, they're being good. They're being great. All right, so we are back in 5, 4, 3. Hello, friends. We are back here today on What's Going On. And before we get into the MLB All-Star Weekend, our guest, Coach Miles, is here, who also attended the Knicks parade. Coach Miles, was it you that I saw beating up Spurs fans? Did I see you beating on that poor man?
The Knicks parade
with the
was
Wemby jersey?
Insane, to say the least. You know what I mean?
I think we got latency issues all around here, Greg. Or he's just not admitting guilt. Or he's just
that one wasn't me.
And he's not. Okay. Amazing. Well,
yeah, no, that one wasn't me. I saw a lot of things. That wasn't me.
I mean, good.
So that's amazing that you were on the right side of history in every aspect. So first off, the NBA is changing so much in a year. And we already heard people saying the Knicks might repeat, but the whole landscape is changing. And they haven't even put out the schedule yet because LeBron James has yet to decide. So I ask you this, Coach Miles. It seems like you're a little younger. I'm not sure how much. First off, how old are you, Coach Miles?
I'm 32.
Okay. So you grew up with LeBron. So we got to see LeBron. We got to see all these decisions that were made. And now we're at part 3.
Yes.
Does this decision really matter? We see it matters financially to the NBA, but how big of an impact right now is the decision that LeBron James is about to make?
I think it matters more financially for the league. any team that he goes to, but also it matters for his legacy in the eyes of people that doubt him. Right now, the people that doubt him, they're looking to see where he lands. Is he going to pick a team that could really use him, or is he going to go where he's not really usable and he's just a face that'll bring money in? So it's a big decision financially, but a lot of it goes to how people are going to view him once he retires.
Well, I will say this before Greg, I know you have a lot to say about this, but I feel like people are grossly diminishing the impact of the second best basketball player to ever step on that court because he's still got a lot in the tank. Even this version of LeBron James that we see at 50 years or whatever he is, this man is better than I'd say maybe he's still a top 20 player in terms of impact on the floor. How many people are even really playing defense out there in this day and age? Let's be honest. I feel like not just him on the court, but his off the court presence. And I think personally that it's a no brainer that he returned to Cleveland, where he is going to be treated with that respect behind the scenes and by the front office. After all, he's the only person in the last 50 years to lead a team to a championship in Cleveland, besides, I guess you could say, Kyrie Irving, who was right there with him. So I know that right now the big talk is Philadelphia. He might be a good fit in with the 76ers, and they might have a tandem of guards that might play alongside him well. But sometimes I feel, and Greg would know this better than anybody, that it's about where you are and the state of mind that you're in and how people are treating you where you are. And I just feel like, could it really be any better than a place that he's already the king of, where he lives pretty much year round in the off season? What do you think, Mr. Vaughn?
Well, for me, pretty much everything you said, Ryan, is spot on. And Miles also. I just think it's the right system. And where does he want to go out, right? Where does that final chapter look like? What is the last page of his basketball playing career? Because he's going to have, many more pages in his book. But what does the last chapter of basketball look like? What does the last page look like? I think if it's me, I know you said something about Philly, but I'm going to Philly. I think, with the addition of Jalen Brown and maybe someone that can, I know Knicks fans don't want him to go to Philly, but I'm going to Philly. I think maybe he can help motivate Embiid. You know what I mean? Maybe he can say, hey, dude, this is what I'm doing. I mean, because as Embiid matures, he's going to look back and say, damn, I mean, I spent so much time off the court. What does my legacy look like? I want my, besides being one of the highest paid and one, MVP trophy, I don't have any chips. They're going to talk about me being off the court more than they're going to talk about me being what could have happened on the court. So I think, with that three-headed monster, not even counting Embiid, and then you put LeBron and, some of those pieces that they have coming off the bench, I think it makes sense. And do I really want to go to the West where I got 8 teams that it's going to be a dogfight to even, try to get to the chip? I think I go to Philly. I think Philly is, and Cleveland. I just don't see it with Harden. I don't see that moving with Harden there. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about defensive liability. He still wants to get his shots. He still wants to get his numbers. I just think ISO ball is just not the way to go in this time and in stage of his career. I think LeBron just needs to be one of the moving pieces instead of being the piece. And I think, like I said, LeBron has pride. LeBron's not going to go out there and play half-ass. He's going to go out there and play hard. And to me, because Maxi's tried to do it with Embiid, and whoever they've had, maybe LeBron can get through to Embiid and say, "Hey, man, you only got so much time left. Let's go out here and do this." You could probably win 2 or 3 chips. I know the Knicks fans don't want to hear that, but you can put your team in position to at least play for them, right? So to at least play for them. I think Philly makes the most sense to me.
What are your thoughts on that, Coach Miles? Do you think that on paper you see the Philadelphia 76ers kicking your New York Knicks out the throne next season?
See, you can't ask him that question like that. See, you can't set it up. You can't set it up like that. You can't
Remove
go
your
6,
bias.
7, 6, 7.
Tricky.
You can't do that. Unbiased opinion,
show.
Miles.
I'm gonna try to hold my
unbiased opinion.
I'm gonna try to hold my bias, because if I kept my bias, I definitely want him in the West. But I'll get rid of my bias for right now. I just don't know if LeBron wants to deal with another injury-prone big. And that's my main concern for him, that he'll have great guard work with Jalen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, even VJ Edgecombe, who just came off a great rookie year. They have pieces on the bench, but Cavs are already a full set team. And I think that he can make a big impact with a team that was already at the Eastern Conference Finals facing the Knicks. With leadership like that on the bench, in the locker room, on the floor, I think that would take them over the hump, even against the Knicks, unfortunately.
Do you think the coach has anything to do with LeBron's decision, or is it like always a non-factor? Unless it's really somebody that can kind of let LeBron be LeBron. We got Kenny Atkinson with the Cleveland Cavs, and he's low key a great coach. And then we have Nick Nurse, who's won a Super Bowl. Won an NBA championship already. That's coaching now for what is it? His fourth season with the 76ers, and we see how he's developed and how people have played under him, his young players. So, how much of an impact, Greg, do you think the coaching is going to have on his decision?
Well, I think that, before LeBron even thinks about signing with someone, I think these are conversations that they've already had. Hey, I want you to be an extended version of me. I want you to, go ahead and 24 years of service at the highest level, to show our guys, show what it's like to be a pro, but also to be in that conversation as the GOAT. What do you do differently than these guys do? You know what I mean? Because, great players with great ability also have a different mindset. You know what I mean? The workout regimen, the things that they do is a lot different. And like I said, I just don't think, Coach Miles, I agree. I think Cleveland's right there. But if Embiid buys in, if he buys in, I think they go ahead of Cleveland in my books with what they just added. And if LeBron went there, right? I just think they leapfrogged them because, like I said, I just the pounding of the basketball, and I just think Mitchell has to do too much every single night for them to have success, right? Mobley's a great player. I just don't know if he's ready to really be Batman or Robin. You know what I mean? Because you got to play at a different level. You got to exert different energy. I mean, your energy level can't go on up and down from night to night. It's if you're gonna be the man, you got to bring it every single night, and that's something that you can control. I just don't know if he has that mindset to do that. I see Maxey and the other rookie and Jalen Brown. They bring that every night. I think defensively, Philly just got a whole lot better. Rebounding wise, they just got a whole lot better. Even though Paul George, love him to death, but he's not a young Jalen Brown right now, right? At this point in his career, I think. And if LeBron went there and somehow, he can end up in Jamaica right now, running on the beach with Embiid, getting him right and up and down hills and doing all the things, and Embiid comes in ready to play, that's my pick. I just think they have too many pieces. You know what I mean? They have too many pieces. I think him going to Cleveland, I just still think Mitchell has to do too much every single night, and you're relying on James Harden, who dominates and pounds the basketball so much that he puts your defense in bad positions. I just think I like Philly.
I agree, Greg. In terms of like talent on paper, to me, it's by far the best fit. The most complete team. We have Giannis calling for LeBron to come down to Miami. We all know he lives, I guess he got a house down there, and he has his legacy down there as well. But the 76ers, definitely the best team on paper. We have, I guess, their GM podcasting with Rich Paul. We have LeBron making his innuendos saying, trust the process. But that signing, that when the Cavs signed Donovan Mitchell for 4 more years, that to me almost solidified that LeBron was going to go there, or maybe at least made a commitment. Who knows? Maybe he has tricked Cleveland in the past. Maybe he doesn't care. But I don't know.
No, I think either Cleveland or Philly. Cleveland is, I think, the storybook ending that that the world and the basketball world wants to see. You know what I mean? Started there from Akron and returning there to possibly, win a chip. I think Miami is Giannis's team. So going to Miami, I think he would have a hard time playing second to Giannis, right? Because Giannis is the man. He is, even Bam. No disrespect to Bam. Hey, you guys just signed the future, the past, future, and the present. So I think in Philly, I think if there's one guy that can maybe get to Embiid, man, and say, hey, dude, we can do this if you give us this every single night and buy into it. Because I tell you what, the rest
So
of the roster plays
Embiid, we
like that.
both agree that Embiid is the key.
He is the
Yep, we
key.
both agree that Embiid is the key.
Absolutely.
It's the
Yeah,
determining
you know,
factor.
and I
Is he
think,
going to buy in? Is he going to stay healthy? Is he not?
you know what? There's one
So
thing that's, when you're injured, and I'll say this being a former player, when you're injured, you're injured. But when you're out of shape, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for being out of shape,
no.
right? There is that, you can control that. And I think LeBron, and maybe this is why the process is taking too long. Maybe he's not sold on Embiid right now. Maybe he's trying to figure out, is this cat really going to be all in? Because right now I think Embiid's, he knows that that's Maxi's team already. They already turned it over to Maxi. The keys are Maxi now, right? So now is he going to be mature enough and man enough to say, hey man, I can just be part of the team. I don't have to be the team. They might not need, 20 and 15 every single night, even though he's capable of doing it, right? 20, 15 every single night. Because Jalen Brown just, took some of that pressure off him.
Well, we do have to go to a quick break, but I am going to first off plug Coach Miles' skills camp. But I want everybody to admit this to themselves right now, that you're going to have to look yourselves in the mirror and admit that the trusting the process works if LeBron somehow does sign to the 76ers with Embiid still there and they win a chip. That means that the process that they talked about all those years ago ended up working. If LeBron ends up with the 76ers and they win a chip with Embiid on the 76ers, then the process worked. And Coach Miles, on that note, where can they join this skills camp if they're in the Rochester area?
Yep. So the skills camp is going to be at Aquinas Institute of Rochester. It'll be 2 days, August 7th on Friday, grades 3rd through 5th, and on Saturday, August 8th, grades 6th through 8th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of skills, a lot of breakdown, a ton of development. We got a great coaching staff. I'm super looking forward to it. Very excited to get going with this group on those 2 days.
Hey, Miles, hey, thanks and good luck to you, and thank you for leading those young men too. You know what I mean? I just have one question: Who is? Have you been watching Summer League? Because I'm in Vegas, so I went to the. Who are you most impressed with as these young dogs are getting their careers started? Who's impressed you or give me the most or the biggest impression in Summer League so far?
Honestly, there's two guys that stick out the most for me. Obviously, Caleb Wilson has really shown and proved everything that he's talked about since draft night. He in every interview he talks about he wants to be the best. He wants to show and prove. He wants to take that mantle in Chicago, and he's really put together a credible summer league. Offensively, defensively, his intensity, his tenacity, all of it is there on display, and he's going to be a problem in the league. But also AJ out in Washington, he's ready. There is nobody that I look at that's more just NBA star ready than AJ. Incredible player offensively.
And
Defensively.
maturity wise,
He has
I
all
think
the
he can handle it
tools.
too. I
Score
think,
inside, outside.
and I think he has that supporting cast of mom and dad that still ain't scared to pop him in the head. You know what I mean? If he gets out of line, I think that's the difference. I think this has been an incredible draft for me to be able to see Boozer and all these young guys, Cliff for the Kings, but I tell you what, I think Cleveland might have had the steal of the draft with the other guard that played with Cliff out of Arkansas. I think he's
Yes.
leading everyone in scoring down there. I think Cleveland, they added another piece.
Even the Clippers, I know it's a little
Yep.
biased here, but Keaton Wagler says this is a really great draft so far. And you just by Summer League, I know it's hard to gauge. We've had Adam Morrison go out and dominate Summer League in the past. Big shout to Adam Morrison. But I mean, like you said, AJ DeBanza. How do you say his name? Greg, this is the big
I think
challenge
you
of the
said
day.
it
This is
best.
the.
You probably said it better than
I
I
think
would
it's
say
the
it.
Benza. But man, like the
DJ,
eye test, he is dominant. He can do it all. And Peterson is great too. The Jazz have a great player in Peterson. Everyone wants to talk about his attitude. I like it. And I want to see more of it. You're listening to Fox Sports 1280 Rochester, Coach Miles and the great Greg Vaughn in studio. We're going to talk about the home run derby when we get back. It changed up a little bit. We saw it on Netflix this year. Don't go anywhere,
Yes,
folks.
thank
This is what's going on. We are fresh off of All-Star Weekend. I sit with former MLB All-Star, the great Greg Vaughn, host of this radio program. And I wonder, Greg, did you get to sit down and enjoy this year's home run derby?
yes, I did. I think I need to give a shout out to Major League Baseball. I think they did it. They got it right. Right. I think they got away from the 5-hour home run derby with all the antics and all the stuff that made it, as exciting as it was during different periods of the home run derby. I think it was just too long. It turned people off. From all my conversation with people this year and my own, my own opinion, I think they got it right. I think they did it in a timely manner. They went back to pitches, without all the entourages and all the stuff that just dragged it out. I think they made it about the home run derby instead of about everything else. And they did it in a timely manner, right? So I think it was good for baseball, and the way they ended, the way it ended was amazing, and for kids to be able to see someone that looks like them, a person of color, accomplish their feat, right? Maybe this brings little black and brown boys back to playing baseball.
And Greg, you competed, if I'm not mistaken, was it the 96 home run derby?
Yeah, last time it was in Philly. Yeah.
When it was in Philadelphia. So, I mean, for you to see it this time around, and it has changed a lot since 1996, but there's Jordan Walker, like you said. So there's still somebody there that can inspire kids out there that look like him, as you'd say, to go out there and play baseball. And I love seeing Jordan Walker because he's another guy that, like you mentioned, parents like AJ DeBanza, whatever the hell his name is, with the Wizard. But Jordan Walker's parents, they're supporting him. It just seems like a really cool guy, really cool, wholesome guy. And I was the first ever St. Louis Cardinal to ever win the home run derby. Amidst all their great home run hitters they've had, McGuire, Pujols, he's the very first one to do it. So you as a hitter, how do you think that it is with these new changes? Like you said, it's not about getting as many swings in as you can with this new version of the home run derby. From a hitting perspective, is it easier or harder? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think when you're built like Jordan Walker is, or Big Mac at that time, or guys that they don't necessarily have to change their swing for balls to go out of the ballpark, right? For me, it felt like it was more effort to try to hit home runs, even though I did hit 50 that year. I've never tried to hit home runs in BP. I just tried to hit the ball as hard as I could, right through the right center field during batting practice. So I was able to stay on balls, right? So I just tried to knock down the right field ball. So I stayed on it to get me ready for 7:00. So when I was doing it, and now all of a sudden that, all eyes are on me, and it's just you and the pitcher out there, and it's something that I've never done before. I think a lot of these kids nowadays, when you're coming up and you have all these showcases, so this is something that's not new to them, right? But for me, I never went to a showcase. My BP was to get ready for the game at 7:00. So for me, I wasn't. It wasn't an ideal situation for me. I could say I did it, and I've been part of history, so that was good. But I think these kids now are prepared for it. So, Schwarber, he is, he's taking that title from Matt Stairs, the professional hitter, right? So I think this is what Schwarber does. He doesn't change his swing. He doesn't change anything, and I just think Jordan Walker, he was built for this. But these showcases get these young men ready for it. Shout out to the Hank Aaron. I mean, he's been through all MLB programs. Jordan Walker to come all the way up and then to win the home run derby. And like I said, man, for when numbers are down like they are, you know what I mean? I think it's good for baseball, and it's good for society for like I said, brown and black little boys to see someone like Jordan Walker carry that mantle or that torch. It gives a sense of hope for them, and that baseball's still cool.
I think you just said it right there, that baseball's still cool. And baseball, compared to how popular it was 10 years ago, I mean, from what I've seen, at least, it seems you look at the numbers online and the young people watching it, it's skyrocketing in popularity. I remember there was a time, like I said, maybe a decade ago, where people were wondering if baseball would even exist in 100 years from now. And baseball, for what it's worth, you can say what you want about Manfred, but this version of baseball and some of these rule changes, I guess, have made it a little easier to watch in general. But that leads me to this All-Star game. A lot of people are saying that the All-Star game has kind of lost its meaning ever since that year that I think it was Bud Selig ended the game at a tie. And it kind of literally took the whole point of the All-Star game away, which was to see where the home field advantage was in the World Series. So, I mean, you see everybody missing out. No one wants to get hurt. Cam Schlittler calls out the All-Star game. Countless other pitchers and stars. What are your thoughts on that? Has the All-Star game kind of lost its meaning to these players? And if so, what do you think can be done to help bring it back to mainstream attention?
Well, I don't think the players are making the call. I really don't. I think it is the organizations and it that are making these calls. I mean, if you are tell me if you're playing on a last place team and you have a chance to go. I mean, this is your World Series, so you're going out there to showcase your stuff. So I think these teams, especially in these races, the way they are, they're saying, hey, if I can get my guy, have him pitch 2 days before the break, then have him off during the break, and then have him make that the first or the second start after the break. I just added a couple of extra days rest to for him, and then he's right back in the fold to help us go. If they pitch during the All-Star game, now I have to wait another 4 or 5 days to get him back in the slot, and they're probably their number 1 or number 2 guy, right? So now you're starting off the All-Star game with your number 3 guy. So I just think there's a lot of conversations that are going on and a lot of strategic planning that's going on because you want to come back. You want that first game after the break because that's when the season starts. You want to get off to a good start, right? So
yeah,
and then some of these guys are trying to showcase their stuff so they can get out of there, and play for a contender.
it's true. That is definitely a good point. So I guess we'll see what the future holds for the All-Star game. Maybe they will kind of revamp it in some way, kind of like they do with the home run derby every so often. But I guess we'll see. Look, to me, it's like still as a fan, the MLB All-Star game has more meaning than any of the other sports. Even still, to be an MLB All-Star means more than being a Pro Bowler. I mean, who the hell watches the Pro Bowl? I mean, when you look at
Yeah, I think you're right, Ryan. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that is something that summer's officially began, right? Boys of summer. I think when you have the All-Star game, now you're coming off the All-Star game. Now the season begins, and now we can get after it. We have 2 weeks after the game to figure out who's going where, who's going to end up where, who's going to add, who's going to subtract, who are players and who are sellers. Who are buyers, who are sellers. So I think it's a situation where it's good for the game and it has some relevance because it does mean something. You know what I mean? You win that game, whoever gets the chip or playing for the chip, we get home field advantage. So that's why I think it's important to the players. And I think one thing about baseball players, to have that be recognized as one of the best and to be able to go out there and showcase your talent is big.
absolutely means something. I agree, Greg. And hey, you got to experience it firsthand, as I experienced in front of a television, enjoying it with the rest of you that are listening now. This is Fox Sports 1280 Rochester. Greg Vaughn, Ryan Verneuille in the building. Nate Brown is driving around somewhere in Rochester, and we'll be back after these messages. The Boston Red Sox are having a comeback half season. The New York Mets are having a fire sale. The Yankees, hopefully, are making some moves at the trade deadline. And of course, the Dodgers are still probably going to win the World Series. But we're back here to talk about other things besides baseball today on what's going on because the most electrifying woman to pick up a basketball just dropped 45 points. Greg, I'm on the bandwagon. It's official. I know I stayed a little bit more silent. 45 points plus 10 assists, a new WNBA record. Nothing's been done like it. And I get it. There's better WNBA players than Caitlin Clark. Your girl with the aces is, probably the best player, Aja Wilson, to play women's basketball. But Caitlin Clark is the most electrifying player that I've ever seen. And they liken her to Steph Curry. But in the WNBA, a place where they don't really dunk, it just means that much more. And watching that performance, Greg, and especially at the end of the game, she's hitting the three, she's screaming, yelling in everybody's face. I mean, I don't know, man. I dig it. I'm into it. I like those electrifying type of players. And this is the first time that I've really watched WNBA and just see the whole crowd going nuts like that. Just every time she's out there. I'm sorry, man, but I'm in. I'm on the bandwagon.
Hey, you got to give credit where credit's due, right? She's balling, man. I mean, how can you hate on this girl? I think the media and where we're at in the world today, people want to have these biased opinions of these young ladies, right? So to make Angel Reese out to be the villain, and you want to make Caitlin Clark out to be the savior, and then somewhere in between, Asia's doing her thing, right? Just winning chips and MVP trophies, one after another. So I think all these young ladies deserve to have credit, right? I think Mitchell on her team, she's also the engine that makes Indiana go. Caitlin is the face, of course, but without Mitchell and Boston, I think Indiana's just another team. Sophie's a freaking boss too. So I think, just as much as Caitlin, this is where my problem is. Just as much as she likes to have the accolades and the credit, she has to be able to take the other stuff also, right? You have to be able to wear both hats. And I think, anybody that's a basketball fan, anybody that I've spoken to, they don't hate Caitlin Clark, the basketball player. I think they feel like some of the other players aren't getting their just due, right? And I think, but that's life. I mean, when you look at sports, the history of sports have, all the players ever got their just due opposed to other certain guys, right? So it's just another part of life. I think what she's doing for not just girls basketball, but for female sports is tremendous. She's, women are the most important part of our world. Without women, there's no kids and there's no future. And these women can lead, not just on the court, but in corporate America and leadership positions. I think what Caitlin's doing and all the girls in the WNBA are doing in the hockey and the soccer. Like right now, we're having Women's Weekend down here in Vegas. Flavor Flav, shout out to him. Giving these women their just due because the guy in the White House didn't want to do it. So here we go. You know what I mean? But it's
so Flavor Flav is doing it. Greg, that is the greatest thing I've heard.
Yeah.
He knows how to really award women the right way. We all watched this show back in the day. Love me some Flavor Flav.
Yeah, but all the women athletes of this past Olympics are here in Vegas, getting their flowers. Right, we're going to celebrate them and give them their kudos and their accolades, and it's something that should be done. And they should be up there right with the guys. And I think most guys that play sports don't look at them as, if we're looking at women as being different and sexist, they shouldn't be paid this and shouldn't be. I mean, we're still living in stone ages. You know what I mean? It's going back to civil rights. Civil rights were more than just about DEI, as they put it, or African Americans. This is about women. It was about, moving forward. So I just think, anytime women get their flowers, man, I'm happy, and I'm happy for Caitlin Clark.
There's a lot of layers to the whole Caitlin Clark thing. Me personally, I like that the media is a little bit more villainizing her because they did kind of put her on the pedestal. Because let's be honest, when there's a white player that's really good, we kind of overrate them ourselves. We, like me as a white guy, I do it all the time. I mean, it's like Larry Bird. I loved Larry Bird, but in the greater scope, and look, you got to see him play. Maybe this is absolute blasphemy, but maybe some would say he was a little bit more overrated because he looked like most of the fans.
I say he's one that he was definitely not overrated.
Not
he
even a little. So you're saying, Greg, that you put Bird in that top 10 ever conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and yes. Yes, and yes. That's just my opinion.
No. But you have a shrunk because you've seen all these generations of players play.
Dude, I seen him up close. I had season tickets on the Kings, sitting on the wood for 30 years. Hey, facts.
Yeah,
he was that guy. He was that guy. And so overrated, no. Larry Bird he was that guy. So for me, I think who knows? It's too early in Caitlin's career to see if she's going to be that girl. But right now, we can say Asia is that girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she is that girl. And there's a lot of other girls in that league that are that girl. And in due time, Caitlin will be there too. But the way the the world is now, we just look for people to overtake, and we just give them everything because that's our vision of what we want, right? So I think that's why you play the games. You play the games, and they fall where they fall.
Yeah, you know what? That is a layer that maybe we can peel off then, if that's at least with Larry Bird. But I look at the Lakers, and by the way, I'm all for rooting for a great white player. I love seeing it. We're usually getting torched out there. Let's be honest. We're usually not playing good defense. We're not able to keep up. Let's be honest. I look at that Lakers team, like I said last week, but I'm a little bit worried, Greg. I'm sorry, man. Call me crazy here. What the hell's going on in LA?
Hey, that's not my problem. Hey, that's okay. So on that topic that we're talking about, let's jump to the NFL quarterback list. They had, you got Patrick Mahomes in the league. How do you put anybody ahead of him as the top 10, the best quarterback in the National Football League?
Yeah,
we put a guy. So listen to what I'm saying here. We put a guy at number 1 that hasn't won a chip, and all they do is knock Lamar and some other guys for never winning anything, blah blah blah. But what do they do? First chance they get, we're gonna put Josh Allen up there. Not saying he's not a great quarterback, but he's never won anything. But they put him at number 1. So there we go. And people are gonna say, well, it's always well when it comes to who they want, and you put all this stuff on Lamar, but you don't put it on Josh. Why? Why?
I think we know the answer to that, Greg. I think we know the answer to that. I really do.
Yeah, we know the answer to
it. And not even like you said, Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but it's absolute blasphemy. And just from, I don't even understand any perspective that a guy who's never even been to the Super Bowl, he never even led his team to the Super Bowl, and you put him above Patrick Mahomes because he's coming off an injury, which apparently he's already like way light years beyond where he should be when it comes to recovering from the injury. But just absolute disrespect. They're both the same age too, Greg. So yeah, to me, absolutely ridiculous. Whoever comes up.
Okay, with this list. So let's take it a step further. You know what quarterback wasn't on that list? Jalen Hurts, and he won a Super Bowl.
Wow.
But you got Drake May on that list.
Yeah, exactly. Drake May. We all saw the real Drake May.
Bo Nix, Drake May, you got those guys on that list, and Jalen Hurts. All he does, he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1, and all he does is win. You know what I mean? So we know the cause and effect of what it is. What it is. That's why I said, as much as they try to erase history or take away history or do whatever they want to do, as long as we keep educating our kids at home and let them know that, hey, don't be the same. You got to be different. You got to. You can't do what certain people do. You have to separate yourself. Don't make it close, as my grandma said. As long as you live like that in all aspects of your life, you're going to be okay.
And as long as you, if you choose not to be like that, and you have horrible parents, and you're raised to be a despicable pig, hopefully you're not one of the guys voting for these lists on ESPN. And Matt Stafford, a 38-year-old Matt Stafford, at number 3. Which, no knock on Matt Stafford, but he's got a lot of protection. Let's be honest. And he's got some great guys he's throwing to. Joe Burrow at number 4. How do you put Joe Burrow in front of Lamar Jackson? I'm sorry. It's crazy.
Hey, and the thing about Matthew Stafford, though, I'll give him this, though. Matthew Stafford was doing it in Detroit. He's one of the toughest guys out on the field. I have no problem. I have problems with some of these young guys that have only, they won 2 games 2 years ago, and then, they had a good playoff run, and now they're leapfrogging ahead of, some of these other guys that have done it, right? And so that's my problem. I mean, you have to put your foot in the ground and do some work. You can't do it after 1 year. They're giving these guys flowers after 1 good year. And what is a good year? Good year is going to the playoffs. What is a good year? I mean, Jalen Hurts, like I said, man, this man gets shit on every single day, man. Every single day. That's why he's one of my most favorite people in the world, because he handles it with class. He never lets them get him in some type of way where he's in his feelings. He just leads by example. He's a pillar in the community, and he just goes out and does his thing, even though they shit on him every single day.
And he doesn't just win. My man wins chips, or I guess he won 1, but he almost won another, and absolutely no respect.
And they shit on him in college. I mean, he came back and won a chip. They shit on him, saved the day. He gave it back to Tua. He had to transfer to Oklahoma, and all he does is win. That's what he does.
They
He
even
puts
put
his team
Caleb
in position to win.
Adjuster. I'm looking at this list right now. It's despicable. It truly is. But you know what? These guys are going to come out and they're going to prove these lists wrong, just like the Seattle Seahawks did. I believe Seattle Seahawks were like 23rd or 24th on the list of who's, I guess, their power rankings, the week 1 power rankings. They were down there, and look who came out on top. So once again, just got to ignore the critics like always. Greg, I thank you for joining me today. And all of you listening, thank you for joining us today. Go to Greg Vaughn 23 on Instagram. Go to, well, you're never going to know my last name, so just go to The Ryan Show on Instagram. And, of course, What's Going On Sports. Thanks for listening to What's Going On with the crew. And, Greg, is there any last words or gems or insight to leave these lovely people off with on this fine weekend?
No, you know what? Let's give all the women of the world, even though it's not Mother's Day, you know, let's celebrate these women every single day and give them their flowers. And shout out to my daughter who's getting ready to compete in the USA Equestrian Games over there in Aachen. Janae, I love you, proud of you. And you are the Jackie Robinson of, you know, equestrian. So, you know, much love for her, and I'll be there.
That's right. Big shout out to you, Pops, for birthing that pioneer in sports. That is your daughter. And of course,
but flowers go to her mom because
I was going to say, we all know the best. It's an easy job for you. It's a hard job for the missus.
Yeah. All I did was bring treats. You know what I mean? Her and her mom did, and her coaches have done all that grinding. So
you didn't teach her how to ride a horse. It wasn't you that was up there.
No. And I have no problem saying that. Not at all.
Can you ride a horse though?
No, hey man, I have no interest in riding horses. I like to play golf.
Maybe you'd be good at polo, whacking the balls from above the horse.
I only get on horses in Mexico and Hawaii where I'm bigger than them. So there we go.
Wow, those little ones. Okay, all right, fair enough. I'm not going to make any inappropriate jokes up here with the two boys. And by the way, I want to give a big shout out to my 2 sons that have joined us today. Completely silent. Look at them there, working hard, hanging out. 2 biggest Yankees fans besides me, Greg, and they're a big fan of you too, man. Giving a little baseball history lesson the other day.
All right. I appreciate you, Ryan, man. You guys enjoy your weekend. Always till next week.
That's right. Adios, folks. Over and out.